Well, hi, Aaron. Thanks for coming and joining us here for this little interview. I wanted to talk with you a bit about your upcoming OSCON talk. So you're going to be introducing an open source tool that extends Flume. You want to go ahead and talk about why you chose to do that?
Sure. I used to work at Cloudera, which is where the guys who wrote Flume are. And through this job and now through my new company, I get exposed to a lot of people using Hadoop. And Hadoop is a batch processing system, and people are using this to ingest continually more information. But these batches will run for perhaps an hour and then give you a result, and people want results more quickly than that. And so they'll start doing things like running small batches every 20 minutes or try to push down that lower barrier. But really, that doesn't actually work. If you need things to happen within a minute or within a couple of seconds, you're not really going to get there with Hadoop itself. So people use things like Flume to ingest data into Hadoop, and they've started doing a lot of creative sort of side projects where they'll get Flume to write to both Hadoop and to MySQL, or some other online system. And I've seen a lot of different sort of half solutions in this same space, and so I realized that there's a need for a tool to sort of just bring this capability to all of the Flume users.
Yeah, this is one of the challenges with the new NoSQL solutions is nobody knows quite what to do with them, just in fact that they need to do something, and there are all these opportunities. So when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you'd seen so many different implementations. Do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what those were?
Sure. I mean, one of the major use cases for this is places where you have online ad serving, for example. You want to use something like Hadoop to track all of your clicks and do your daily roll-ups, but if a given ad campaign has exceeded its budget, you would like to stop serving that ad as quickly as possible so you can move to the next one in your inventory.
And this would be the continual batching.
Right, so you need some sort of continual batching, but you really don't even want to give them, 20 minutes could be, 100,000 impressions, which is, revenue being left on the table. So people do things like push this into MySQL and do roll-ups every few seconds. Or they just have a Python script that is pushing out into some other key value store that's being used on the front end. And all of these solutions are very particular to one company's use case, but I think that there's just a common thread between all of these problems, which is you want to do streaming aggregation.
So Flume is the tool to do that streaming aggregation then?
Well, so Flume itself is more like a transport layer. You take events from, say, a web server, and a click is an event, or maybe a purchase from some e-commerce server, that might be an event. And those just get shuttled into endpoints, and the default endpoint would be HDFS, Hadoop's file system. But Flumebase itself is also an endpoint for this. So events come into this system through this transport layer, and then into this query processing engine, where new results are calculated, and then Flumebase itself is also a Flume source, so new events are emitted from this query processor right back into the standard data flow.
Mm-hmm. And your extension right on top, so we can wrap right up with what the fun part is that you're talking about, that goes ahead and allows you to do the continuous batching?
So it's continuous query processing. So despite the NoSQL movement, I'm taking a step to the side. You actually use a SQL-like language to write these queries, which will persist in the server in an online fashion. So after you disconnect from the system, the events that move into this are still being compared against all the queries that have been submitted by the users.
Well, this sounds like a neat little tool, and thanks very much for coming in and talking with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.